button.
Hit the button.
I've hit the button.
Get that
Here we
button
are.
pressed.
Hope everybody else comes in. I know there was a problem with the link this morning. So wonderful. StreamYard. Working wonders. Wednesday night show was a cluster too. A lot of weird camera stuff happening and stuff blinking. It was crazy. Come on in, everybody. We see you out there. It's early morning. It's time for Comics by Night. I have my camera off for a reason. Come on in.
I'm wearing no pants. News at 11.
No pants and standing on his head.
Don't hit yourself in the face, Randy.
I'm not wearing any pants. Film at 11.
Here we are. With the way my morning has gone, I would probably do that. I'd probably smack myself right square in the face if I stood on my head. Right, everybody, it's Comics by Night or Comics by Mid-Morning, depending upon where you are in the world, or Comics by Late at Night if you're over on the West Coast. We're glad you're here.
Are we real today?
We're semi-real today.
Semi-real, yeah.
I meant time-wise.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we're actually no recording for this.
Okay.
Want to tell everybody we appreciate their patience as we went through recording last week, and Sunday Funnies was pre-recorded, but we had a blast. So talking about covers. If you ever get a chance, go back and take a look at those if you haven't already. Here's our opening. Here we go.
What was that? This is not a charade. We need total concentration. Now, once again, this time, with theory.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
How dare you?
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, speaking of the wonders of StreamYard, I had to go through and change my Facebook again.
Oh, great.
It was just set to private. I'm looking up there and I was like, one person's watching. Hey, one person.
The more
Great.
complicated they make it, the easier it is to break.
That's exactly what it is. They went through and added a few more bells and whistles, and now the other bells and whistles aren't working properly.
They're on strike.
On strike. Come on in, everyone. It's Comics by Night. We're going to have some fun. I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman, and more coffee. I'm in need of more coffee. I've been a long time alternative and independent comics producer, publisher, creator. Been in the alternative and small press business for many, many, many decades, and done just about everything in this business that you can imagine. And now we're podcasting and loving every minute of it, even the glitches. So joining me this morning is Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name's Glenn Fleming. I'm a writer, artist, and publisher. I've written 11 books, 2 about the Kennedy assassination, 2 science fiction books, and a book about my dad's experiences on D-Day when he was a paratrooper, a book about the NASA astronauts who didn't go to the moon, adult humor book. I like to travel around the world and wrote a book about when I went to Easter Island. That's fully illustrated. I'll get there in a minute, just a second. Children's books, written and illustrated that. And relevant to Sunday, the World Cup in Qatar. That's my first published book.
Prolific.
And most relevant to this program, a book about my visits to Jack Kirby.
Big
which
cheer.
you can get a DVD with that. Wow, we'll get there in a minute. I also created this cartoon character Hatch, which my wife made this.
There you go.
Look at that.
There you go.
Look at that. How
Look
good
at
is that?
Your ideas, your imagination made real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
There you go.
Amazing.
And I also publish Comics Unlimited, which number 11 is now live on Amazon. This is issue 1, but number 11 is now out on Amazon. You can get that on now, right now.
For the great Halo Jones cover by Ian Gibson.
Yeah, it's fantastic artwork, isn't it? Just beautiful. It's one of
Mhm.
those things that makes you want to give up. But he, I don't know what he's doing these days, but he should finish that Halo Jones off, but they won't do, will they?
No, they won't do it.
It's an opportunity lost there.
Part of the Future Shock documentary about 2000 AD.
Right.
They have a great clip there of Neil Gaiman, who said that he talked to Alan Moore about how that story was supposed to go, and it literally brought him to tears.
Oh, wow.
And said that it would have been one of the greatest stories in sequential art if they had bothered to finish it. They only got a third of it done. So
it was a play as well. I went to see a play with about it from the first series of books.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I don't know whether you've read it, but there's a little there's a robot dog or something in it, and all of us, everybody's in the audience watching this play, and all of a sudden you feel this thing, and somebody dressed up as this dog, and they're going around through the audience, tickling people's ankles, and people are jumping out of the skin, and it's looking for her. It's really clever because she's on the stage going through the story, and this thing's after her, and she knows it's after her, but it's literally in the audience going through people's legs. It was absolutely brilliant.
Well, for me, I was reading 2000 AD for all of the imagination that was in it, Rogue Trooper and Judge Dredd, and then they had a strip about a girl going to the mall.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, I can skip that one. And
wow.
I bought the Titan reprint book,
Yeah.
and tried to read that. That came out a few years later. I got to go back and reread it.
You've got to read it. It's
yeah, I understand it is genius.
Fabulous stuff.
Also joining us today is Mr. Russ Leach. Russ, introduce yourself.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm a comic book artist from the UK and sometime Ronin. I'm not as prolific as Glenn and not as long-lived as Randy with the experience that he has, but I have been able to get myself about in the last 10 years since I had a previous couple of careers, and now I do my own book, Only Death Can Save Us. The second book is on the way to completion, so you can pick up book 1 and book 2, the original book 1 and book 2, over on Indiegogo. I've also done runs on Doctor Who, done tutorial books for Marvel, worked on Ben 10, and at the moment, currently, I'm a Batman artist. So I do a kids Batman book in the UK and Europe. Issue 2 is out now. You can get that. And that's about it for me. You can find out all about me at russleach.com.
All right, great. And today's theme, I guess, is the comics that we've learned from. Anybody have anything that they want to show before I start boasting?
Yeah, okay, I'll go first. How's that? I'll get mine out of the way because we all know where I'm going with this. So there we go. Settings. So I'll go to a different camera.
I was going to say, I hope not, because I borrowed. Okay, you're good.
Okay, right. So this here is
oh, look at that.
It's a real book. It's so knackered.
That's a well-loved book right there.
This is a well-loved book. You can see even where I've put my name and where I've drawn around the characters and everything when I was a kid.
Are those stickers? I'm sure they were stickers at one time.
That's the illustration that was in there, and I've just drawn around them when I was a kid.
All right.
I absolutely love this book to death. My mum managed to destroy all my floppy comics when I left for college, but this stayed intact, and I managed to get hold of it. So this is.
Have you sent?
Britain.
I hope your mom is still able.
No, I'm afraid she's not. No, she's gone
sorry.
to the big ashtray in the sky.
I was going to say that'd be if it was my mom, I'd be mailing her a copy of the Overstreet Price Guide every year, highlighted with the books you knew you had.
So Herb Trimp and Fred Keeder were the artists on this. But the reason I bring this out is there's a story to all of these books. Is Captain Britain was one of the things. It's what it made me love things. So I had comics before that. I'd already started investigating 2000 AD.
That pinup of the Avengers you just passed by there.
Yeah, I mean that's great.
That's Kirby, right? That's Kirby.
So there was
somebody amazing. Yeah,
this was all done by Marvel UK, and they did a lot of reprints in the pages of Captain Britain. So this was an original story, but they also did a whole bunch of stuff. So they did something I don't have, which is important to me, but it just doesn't fit on the board is Steranko's work on Nick Fury, Agent of Shield. They reprinted that. They reprinted a whole bunch of Avengers stuff. They reprinted some Doctor Strange, but most importantly, they reprinted a whole bunch of Fantastic Four. So I'll put that over there, which I've only got, unfortunately, in Essentials. And actually, this has just opened up on probably my favourite story, where they had the Silver Surfer, and then they went into the Overmind, and Galactus come in, and it's just fantastic stuff.
It's Gabriel there, Herald of Galactus. Yeah,
exactly. And most of the stuff that I saw, I know that Kirby was on the first few issues that they reprinted, but it ended up being the John Buscema run, and most of it was inked by Joe Sinnott.
Yeah,
and that was, I think that's probably the thing that has most effect on me. Once I got hold of that and fell in love with that, I moved on to a lot of Savage Sword of Conan and Conan magazine and the stuff that is it Alcala did with John Buscema. So that opened my mind as well, and so it's that journey took me to this book, because I would say when we talk about comics, for me, the most influential aspect of the comics would be the artwork.
Of course.
It's just the way it works for me. So I've focused on John Buscema's art. I do have another book up there that we all know about, which is Brian Bolland's equivalent of this massive book. Look at that.
And how big is that book?
This is right. Okay, I'll show you a piece of my artwork. Okay, which is on 11 by whatever it is. You guys,
18, 11, 18.
So it's basically that's my artwork. Okay.
Wow.
All right, so you can see how big this book is.
I'll just say, Russ, that your artwork wouldn't be out of place in that book.
Thank you very much. That's
and I mean that.
Thank you. That is what has inspired me. This stuff, because and it's wonderful watching your show yesterday, Glenn, and seeing that hierarchy of that sort of descendancy going back into the past, and seeing that actually I'm being affected by people like Hal Foster.
Yeah.
Okay. Simply because there's a lineage there. And it's a wonderful thing. And I do, I'm called Comic Book Black Belt on my YouTube channel. And I suggest that there's a lot of things about the way that you learn within martial arts and the way that you learn within art that are very similar. And I have a lineage that goes back to Suzuki via two senseis. And so I feel a connection through my karate, through martial arts, back to those people. And I definitely feel a connection back to, the artists that have made such an effect on me. And even though my style doesn't reflect people like, more recent people, say like Brian Bolland or even Jack Kirby, okay, they're in there. They're all in there and they all made an effect on me. But John Buscema, I think, is the one that made the biggest.
Just before you just turn back, let me just point something out. The ridge on Ben's brow doesn't look right, does it?
No, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
No, it's small.
Is it just? That's a bit better. It's just.
Is that Sal or John? That could be Sal Buscema too.
I think that it's all John's pencils in here. There won't be any. It will all be John's pencils, but it may be a Sal Buscema ink there.
There's a lot of Sal in that. I see it, especially in Hulk's face.
Yeah.
I grew up with the Defenders. That was Sal's big run. So.
It was funny because when you looked, if you did a deep dive analysis of the two, there were a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Between them, an awful lot of similarities.
And then
Sal was just that much more angular, I think.
And then we turned to Buscema inked by Vinny.
Yeah. It don't look too bad though, does it? I mean,
not terrible, but
no.
Buscema by Buscema.
Yeah. Look at that.
That Thor illustration doesn't match that Hulk illustration, though.
No, it doesn't. Not for the energy.
Beautiful. Yeah. There we are.
And these pages are they're just a wonder. They really are. These are the Avengers stuff. But
they're all from actual size, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty much actual size. Yeah. And that was something that very much interested me. I wanted to see what I needed. What targets I need. There's no way I'm ever going to reach those targets, but you've got to have something to reach for. And I'm not about copying other styles, but I'm definitely about seeing why they're so good. I mean, we've had this
you've got to try and
before.
you've got to try and work out what's going on, and
what's
that's why
going right.
That's why it's good to see the pencil work, isn't it? Because you can see how they got there.
And actually, looking at this
Look at
particular, looking at the cover of it, I'm very much interested in the way the brush strokes are done as well.
Yes,
exactly how they're managed, because that was what that's obviously something that I'm very interested in, because I'm now doing my own traditional artwork. So I'll do a flip. Oh, there you go. What a great page.
And it's great to see that actual size too, because you get to see those how thick those brush strokes were and how tiny they looked on
exactly.
The actual
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes, economy of line,
yeah,
and focus of line.
And I always say this, but look at that lovely lettering as well.
It is, I know, but it is. It's
just classic comics right there.
Yeah. So where are we? I've got some recent artwork, because I'm very close to finishing book 2 now. I've got 90% of the inks done, and so not so much this page, but what did I do? I just did a page where I did some quite thick inks on the bottom. So if you look at the foreground figure down the bottom here, and you can see the way that I've used the brush, and there's so much of that.
That guy there you just pointed to. You've almost got a nice chick stone outline on it. Chick stone does that makes it like 3D, doesn't he?
Yeah. Something else I was listening to, which literally just came to me the other day, which you'd think was a really basic thing to think about. I was listening to Steranko talk about Wally Wood. Yeah. And he was talking about some of the other people that I can't remember the name of the guy, but he died young. And he was talking about the inking and the fact that he would outline things. So he'd do the outlines first before he did anything else. And then he'd fill in the outlines. Obviously, that's not the way you draw. Mm-hmm. You don't draw an outline first. You create, you build a figure. But when you're inking, you're looking at depth. And you're looking at creating, three-dimensionality with a very two-dimensional environment, and so those thicknesses in lines make a big difference. And although I was using a thicker line around figures and what have you to help with that kind of thing, I'd never thought about just like doing let's put in the outline first. And I did it on a few occasions and thought, damn, that really works. And so something that I'd never really thought about had come to me from effectively something that somebody found out 50 years ago, Joe
Colloon, who used to draw Charlie's War, Pat Mills wrote it. Pat Mills said that Joe Colloon used to do that. He used to start with the thickest brush and do the thickest line, and he couldn't work it. Pat Mills couldn't work it out the way he did it, and he just used to do the outlines and then fill in the rest of the drawings. So it was, Joe Colloon's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I was doing. I just wasn't creating outlines with it. So what I do is I get my thickest brush and I lay down the thicker lines, and then I'll go back in with a thinner brush, and then I'll go back in with a pen. And the other thing is like listening to looking at so much art, you feel pressure to use certain tools. Or I did, because I wanted my art to be so right, and because I respected the people before me so much. But if I now thoroughly believe that if some of those guys back in the day had access to some of the brush pens that are available now, they'd have used them.
They'd
have used whatever tools worked for them. So now I will use I'll use pens, I'll use felts, I'll use brushes, anything that I can get. I tend to find that if I'm doing something organic, I'll use a brush. Yeah. And everything else is kind of pen work, but they are brush pens. So I get to get a thick and a thin line, which is exactly the kind of thing you see here.
Back in the 80s, I'm not saying I achieved this like you, Russ, but back in the 80s, when I was publishing my comics, I looked at Joe Sinnott's work and as the best,
Yeah.
So I taught myself how to use a brush. The entire page in brush, even sort of straight lines of a sword, as it were, with a ruler. Right. And you can get some really good, as you know, you're both artists. You get some good effects using that ruler and that brush with a straight line. And it got to the point where I didn't do this all the time. I was doing the panel borders with a brush.
Oh, blimey! That's impressive.
Just to test I stopped doing it because it You know, I didn't have time, but I could do it. And it was like I draw a machine gun or a sword, and use the thick and thin on that brush with a ruler to get the straight line.
Wow, that's impressive. That is impressive. I mean, I use these thinner brush pens, and I've got a very fine point. I don't like using fine point pens, like bland pens. And I know there's a lot of people that get amazing effects with them, but it just doesn't work for me. I like the idea of thick and thin lines and changing those and varying those weights, even if it means that my artwork has a thicker feel to it. I mean, much like when you look at this, look at the thick lines in there and how beautiful that is. And I feel, to me, that's more, because we were talking earlier about artists that are true artists, okay, and they're bringing art to comic books, and then there are other artists who they're there just because they want to be a comic book artist. You know what I mean? That's what it's about, and that's me. I'm afraid that's what I'm about. I'm not interested in testing myself in oils, okay? I'm only interested in creating panels. I want to tell stories. That's what I get off on. Well, and so the idea is that my style would in some way mirror those styles that are maybe a little bit more cartoonish, okay, but are more graphic, maybe.
You have what I would call an American style.
Yeah.
The thick and thin line. That's what I would call an American style. Whereas European style, the line tends to be the same weight.
Yes.
Like if you look at Mobius and people like that, the good ones.
Yeah.
The line is generally the same weight.
But exactly. But look at what they do with it. I mean, it's incredible. That's what lovely paint that is. Look at the light in there.
Yeah,
the generation of
just
of
amazing
fire, and just incredible. And this is beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
On the page opposite, that guy, there's some white out on those rocks, isn't there? The next one, and middle panel.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
There's white out on there.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I mean, the reproduction in this book is fabulous. You really get to see everything.
Just before you turn, look at where it says next issue at the bottom, and it's whited out. What did the letterer put? Whether they had to delete it? Did he put next week or something?
Put some secret message in it. I hate you all.
Right. Tell you a story about that after.
Yeah, we've got a beautiful page here because it's all in pencil.
Look at that. That is beautiful.
And something else. I mean, look how broad the pencils are. This is something I love looking at Kirby's work as well. Yeah. How broad and fat the pencil strokes are. Even when they're fine, there's something so solid about them. So
do you know?
Now that was redrawn, wasn't it? That's not the actual cover used. That must be an unused cover that Buscema did.
Wow.
I don't know.
I hope he got paid.
I've seen this cover, but like you said,
I've seen something like it. I don't think that's the exact cover, though, is it?
But you know,
the one that he redrew is the one that got inked.
Yeah. I wish he'd have had the actual cover on the opposite page so that you can compare it.
Yeah,
I think they went through and tamed down a lot of that emotion on the villains on this.
It's
that's just vicious. Look at that.
Look at his face there.
When you look at the Kirby, especially Kirby artwork, and he does all the blacks, but he does them. There's no solid black in the world. It's just absence of light. And an inker, look on the opposite page. The inker's gone in and filled that leg in and with the shadow. And I bet that wasn't filled in. I bet it was lines. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you see that a lot on Kirby. And Kirby, we keep going on about Kirby, and this is Buscema, but Kirby was the master because he, like he said about Vince Coletta, if I've got time to draw it, he's got time to ink it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you think of all that time that he could have just put little X's in for the black, and it's not black. None of it should be black.
Well, at this point in Kirby's career, he was in his late 40s, I think it was. He'd been drawn since he was 14.
It's not easy to see because we're not.
So he had it right down to a science at that point.
Of course.
But to go back to that shadow, what that does is that it pops that building out really hard and draws emphasis to it. Yeah.
But look at that lovely lettering as well, the Avengers. Look at that. It's beautiful. I'm not a lettering artist by any means, but look at that.
Just one look.
And again, above it's been whited out. There's been some kind of mistake
on here. Yeah. I was just looking at this character here and just seeing how Just how he's just flicking in.
Is it Stan Lee? Is it Stan Lee?
It looks like it, doesn't it? They're just flicking it, and the change in weight it's just sublime, absolutely sublime. Everything in this book is sublime. Just and even when there's a when there's a bad inker, because it's John underneath, they get away with it. Just, I mean, look at that. Look, it just makes me feel like a kid every time I flick through this book. It makes me feel like a child.
There's only one thing, John. There's only one thing John Buscema can't draw, and that's space. if there were that many planets, it would be chaos.
tiny bubbles.
So close,
everything would just be bumping into each other.
That's right, yeah. But otherwise, brilliant.
But look at Tom Palmer's work on that opposite. I'm a huge fan of Red Wolf anyway. He's one of my favorite characters. But look at that Palmer inked Thor face way down in the corner. Just beautifully done.
We had that cover up in our favorite covers.
Yeah,
didn't we? Yeah,
we sure did.
Gorgeous. So I'll just again classic cover.
These people are just too good, aren't they?
They are just so damn good.
That Avengers 2 there is a real Kirby design, isn't it?
Yes.
Where they're going at each other.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to that FF cover that he drew. Yeah.
Got some more Avengers here. This is beautiful. Yes. Look at the background stuff.
And again, this is Sinat over Buscema, right? Or is that Giacomo?
I'm not sure this is Sinat.
At this point. No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's not Giacomo.
No.
And you know, this is just my opinion. This isn't John's best work. His best work was on Conan. For me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But just everything about, I mean, just like the weight and the position of the anatomy, the way that the act, all of this is acted. Yeah. Yes, it's hammy acting, okay, but that's the point. That is the point. Though. It's comics. It's, you know,
just like silent film, where the gestures were over exaggerated and overdone. Comics are exactly like that. If you go back a page where we were at, look at that. Not that beautiful page, but yeah.
Look at that.
There we go. Suddenly everything stops. Keep going.
Yeah.
Back where we were.
Everybody, here we go.
Right there. Look at the lower right on the left-hand page. Look at that guy's gesturing.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
The hand up there and the fist just in tension. It's not two fists. It's that hand just reaching out and grasping, you know, and the tension in the hands, just amazing.
Do you know, I'd love to. Sorry,
angle of the body, everything about that works. You see, everything in there is angular, nothing straight on, and you know, mitered, you know, flat on the horizon.
That definitely informs my work, definitely, because I always look at everything I do, and I always look and think, is that angle dull? Mm-hmm. How is that working? You see so many people doing these side-on views of people. You get a profile view, and if you ever look at profile views done by these guys, they're never boring. Never.
Well, you look at the lower left or the lower right with Janet Van Dyne at an angle and Jarvis at another angle meeting.
They're not straight up, and the amount of people you see just put things straight up. And then that what they're doing is, even if it's drawn extremely well, they're missing the trick. They're missing the whole concept of
that. Could have been an incredibly boring panel.
That's one of the things I always used to have against Kurt Swan. Fantastic artist, but he would do boring panels. He wouldn't do those angles like these guys are doing. But a great artist, but you know.
But yet, on the other hand, Swan was the perfect Superman artist of the day because he was mundane, and Superman was this big godlike character.
Right.
It's what a great contrast.
Yeah, what a contrast that is. Yeah. I mean, look at that face. Look at that.
Yeah, just amazing.
This guy.
I'd like to ask Tom Palmer. I know he's not here now, but I'd like to ask Tom Palmer when he got this work through the post and he looked at it and what did he think? Did he think, well, I'll have to up my game today? I bet he didn't. I bet he just got on with it, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I tell you the story of Joe Sinnott, didn't it, where he used to lose an hour of his day when he got a package from Kirby or from Marvel with Kirby working, because he just looked at it. He just looked at it for an hour before he started doing it.
How powerful. That is. A little bit of zipper tone on the side there as well.
Yeah.
Just so powerful. I see that you can use that zipper tone effect in Clip Studio, and I have used it on occasion, but I rarely see people use it in the way that they used to use it here.
Cutting it out with a scalpel.
Yeah, I think because like he's put this one bit in because he's realized on this inking on this panel and with the story that this panel requires it.
Yeah.
And none of the others do.
And that's the panel you look at, isn't it?
Exactly.
When you turned it over there, that was immediately what you see.
And that's the drama panel and everything else. And none of the rest of it required it, but a little bit here. And you find that when there's a tool like that that's really easy to get to, it gets overused.
Oh, amen.
So they'll just put it on every panel.
Yeah,
they'll put it on it. And what that means is that you don't get the intensity of something like this, where they're thinking, right, I've got to scalpel this out. There's a good reason I'm putting this here. Because I don't want to be sitting here with a scalpel scalpeling out zipper tone. Yeah. And so it's not just about the ability of artists or the ability of the tools or whatever, but it's about the intent prior to anything touching the page.
Oh yeah.
And all this goes into why so much of this older artwork looks so damn good.
And it's also well drawn.
Apart from the fact that it's extremely well drawn and all the rest of it, but there's so much goes into it and why it's so powerful and remains powerful constantly. Even the best artwork at the moment, it won't have the same gravitas that this stuff has got. Not because it isn't good. There's lots of fantastic stuff, but because of the unique way in which they had to do this by hand. They could only use zipper tone with a scalpel. It wasn't just like lay it down with a brush tool. The way that the work went backwards and forwards, the speed in which they did it, and the acuity in which their technique was improved over time. It's difficult to recreate something like this. There are a few artists out there that I really like at the moment, but this, I'm sorry, you just can't beat this stuff. You just can't beat this stuff. Look at that face there. There's some Kirby in there.
It's just a bit.
Oh, it's definitely just a few dots. Not a lot of Kirby crackle there, but just
it's all lines. But that whole sort of the idea of the energy engulfing, so that you don't see the outlines. I mean, you've got to have some real deep insight to be able to do that kind of stuff.
The thing is, if you start any of these spreads that you're showing, if you look at the top of the first panel and just flick your eyes quickly, it moves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It does.
The drawings move.
Yeah. It's almost fabulous. Like it's animating on its own.
That's right.
And you go back to that.
In there.
You go back to that face and that line work. That line work was all done by hand with a brush. That's all control.
And a ruler.
Right there. It's just screaming control. I would wonder if you would even use a ruler at that point.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen
You'd probably
I saw an interview with Joe Sinnott, and he had his rulers out.
Yeah.
And he said, I said, I've had this ruler for 30 years or something. It was absolutely disgusting. It was black.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was like all the ink all over it. But a brilliant, beautiful interview, and he's such a lovely fella. And you see, he just oozes talent, that guy. And
took me the longest time to realize that when you go to make that stroke, you don't start at the border and work your way out. You start just barely touching the paper with your brush and stroking towards the panel, the panel border itself, letting your brush get thicker as you go along.
Amazing.
It's just amazing.
Just stuff there as well. But also,
and I would say easily a precursor to a lot of the manga effects that you see now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But it's just, for me, as I said earlier, it's so interesting to look proper size to see how the brush works, what sort of effect you're getting, how thick the lines are, and not be afraid of laying down a thick line.
Right.
Not be afraid of putting some power into the ink. Look at that, God. So I'll do a few more flicks because
no, you're fine.
Just carry on. Don't worry about it.
Okay, we can keep doing this for a while. Yeah.
I missed out a few pages, but
this can be the whole show if you want.
Look at that.
This is gorgeous. I actually have. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go to my other camera. Oop, hold on, and I'll just show you something. Okay, so up there on my wall, you can see stuff that I have, and there's that page that I just have there. That's up there, There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
Thor stuff here. This panel here. I'm constantly looking at this panel.
Is that your inspiration wall?
It's my inspiration wall. Yes,
Hmm.
definitely, it's my inspiration wall. So it's most it is pretty much all Buscema, but it's not my only point of contact. I mean, there are lots of artists. I look at Manola quite a lot, just because of the drama that he puts in a very simple way. I love his work.
To go back a page,
Yeah,
back to where we were. This is what's it? Bruce Jones, not Bruce Jones, Rick Jones, pulling out all these Golden Age characters too.
Yeah.
On this Golden Age.
If you look at the guy with the
Human
skull
Torch.
on the bottom,
He just pops because of that zipatone. Look at
and and also the blacks on his arms stop your
Yeah.
eye going off the page.
That's the Blazing Skull,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
just
that his name?
that's just
I'm
so
not sure.
beautiful.
Just an amazing page in general. Look at all that tension, all of them lines.
And
Just
it's all
phenomenal.
It's all just so economic. Like I keep saying, it's not overly done.
Yeah.
No.
It's just the right amount of ink on the page. It's just the right amount of pencil on the page. It's just stunning stuff. Beauty like this. Totally into these strike lines.
Yeah.
I've been doing stuff like that myself. Where are we? See if I can pick something out.
And this is what, mid 60s, maybe late 60s?
Yeah.
At
I mean,
most.
we've got some there.
Oh yeah.
So I've got a very
Brilliant.
similar
There you
set
go.
of stuff going on, and these strike lines coming out, and I actually use a nice, because I'm not as brave as you, Glenn, with a brush. I've got this set of really nice thick felts that I buy, and it gives you that blob on the end of the stroke, and then a thin bit at the end. It's just
I have to
like
say,
this.
I don't think I'd do it now with the brush. I was a bit younger then. I just went for it, and but I thought, no,
I wouldn't have the
too
patience.
scary.
I have to say, I do have an issue with patience.
Same here.
I'm not good at that. I like to get things that are beautiful with this here.
Look at that side.
The somber page down in the lower
Yeah.
lower right there on the left-hand page.
Again,
Yeah.
great
Goliath.
acting.
Yeah.
And this is something for all pencilers to remember. You know, you're an actor, just like animators. You know, I've seen films of animators, old animators from Disney, talking about how they act, and they've got a mirror and they make faces up against the mirror.
Yeah.
Comic book artists should be doing exactly the same thing.
Absolutely.
Exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Dave Cockrum.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. I remember this was definitely rerun in Captain Britain, because I remember this page. I remember getting the comic, it turning up, and me being super excited for it. I'm sure it was Captain Britain. Either way, it was a reprint, back in the late 70s, early 80s.
That's interesting. Is it 1974, Russ? It says at the bottom there.
74, yeah. 74.
Early
So
70s. Yeah.
it's just interesting because it says the origin of Mantis, and Mantis was in New Gods a couple of years before that. So obviously not the same character, but the same.
Different Mantis. Yeah.
It's amazing how they recon stuff. I mean, people talk about recons now, or retcons. Sorry, retcons now. It's not. Retcons aren't terrible. It's just the way you do them. If you do retcons with respect, they're fine.
Well, just saying that's Marvel. That this Kirby was doing it to DC. So
yeah.
Well, there's only so many names too before you start getting into the ridiculous. Look at how many Sandmen there are.
I'm going to do
how
Captain
many
America
demons
then.
there are. Yeah. Well, there's only
one.
one.
See how far I get with that.
Exactly.
Isn't there the one that Titan is doing, the American or whatever it is?
I don't know.
Dark Horse did the American for quite a few years. It was an excellent strip. Yeah.
Isn't that out of copyright?
Don't know.
The American
Titan did one. He looks a bit like Captain America, and I can't remember what it was called.
Well, American is also a name that you can't quite copyright. You can chase after the brand legally if you're if everything is close enough that you can sue, but you couldn't sue somebody over using the name.
Even had a sidekick, which was a bit like a young Bucky.
Sure.
That panel,
I can't remember what it was.
That panel there, that explosion. That's a real Kirby Sinner explosion.
That
there.
one.
No, not down. Next panel.
That one.
That one, yeah. It's a real Kirby Sinner explosion. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the great. I mean, seeing that affected me greatly as well. Seeing that run of the Fantastic Four, all the way through being reprinted, all the way through from the T'Challa story in the palace with Kirby, right the way through all the Buscema stuff. Did Rich Buckler end up doing that run as well?
He did, yeah.
I think right the way through to there, and all of it was inked by Sinnott.
Yeah.
And what I never, I've always loved John Buscema. What I never realized was just how much Sinnott had an effect on me as well.
If you look,
he's a great artist in his own right.
Of course, yeah. If you look on that right-hand page there where Ben turns into Ben Grimm,
yeah,
he's suddenly very, very handsome. He didn't used to be as handsome as that when Kirby, even when he was the real Ben Grimm. Look at him now. Now he looks like he should be Captain America.
Yeah, John always drew gorgeous people.
He did, yeah.
And what that was that great, because when he had that adjunct of drawing someone ugly, like that, almost like that EC witch that we saw earlier on, or the froggy kind of guy, with the big nose and everything, because he made them so guttural, so beautiful in their own right. They're like big noses and like jutting chins and teeth and all the rest of it, that when he drew the heroes, they were all beautiful. They were like gods themselves.
I told you a few weeks ago when we were talking about Romero, the Spanish artist who draws Modesty Blaze. He was told to draw the women. There was some woman villain, and he told her, and his pencil, she's absolutely gorgeous. And he said he was asked by his editors to change it, and he said, I can't. He said, I can only draw women as beautiful. So they used to get when he sent his strips in, they'd get somebody in the office to change them and make them ugly. And he could only draw. He said, I see women and I see beauty, and that's what I draw.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's so difficult to describe how I feel about this artwork. It's
somebody messed those.
That title lettering had to have been put in by hand underneath the artwork.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah. That wasn't something that you cut around.
Somebody messed up on the bottom left corner there with that when they did the credits on. Look at that little white out going on there. What happened?
We've run out of room. Put it on.
Yeah. That's Stan or Roy's fault for having too much to say right there.
Yeah.
We'll just put it down in the corner.
It's
not Stan. That was Stan talking. Yeah.
Not the greatest of lettering here, is it?
No.
Squeezing it in. That's the advantages of hand lettering over computer lettering.
It says lettering Sam Rosen, but he's not done that, has he? That's been done in the office, hasn't it?
Yeah,
probably some
Chuck that in over it,
trying to make do. Yeah. There's that panel.
Yeah,
that was in the front. Yeah.
Just amazing.
Look at that bang.
No need to see the whole of the body.
No.
You just need to see the arm.
Yep.
And no need to see the rest of his body. The strike lines will do it. Fantastic stuff. Comics.
That's great. Comics.
This is comics.
Yep.
But if you flick your eyes again when he's running into that power and then crash, it moves, doesn't it?
You see it. Yeah.
You can see it.
Yep.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
This face, just amazing.
The best by the
Beautiful
best.
Women.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just look at that lovely dark silhouette. Just the changing pace. He's coming in, bang, changing pace. Yeah.
Yep.
That entire top tier on the right hand page would have just been straight on today.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no tension. There's look at how phenomenal that looks. She's even just reaching up, shutting the radio off, and leaving the room.
And the ability to have that three dimensionality. Look at the way the figures all pop together.
I think on the top right on panel with the close up of the girl, I think what makes that panel is that perspective on that building.
Yeah. You're looking over her shoulder. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Look at that.
The awful aftermath. Look at that.
Love that.
Joe Sinnott again, eh?
Oh, where most of this book is Joe Sinnott. I think. Yeah. Look at that. The power. The power. How much? There's not a lot of ink on that panel when you think about it.
No.
There's a lot of white space in there. It's just.
And it's Agatha Harkness, too.
Agatha Harkness. Yeah.
And she's suddenly gorgeous.
Yeah. And menacing. Look at that.
Notice the way she's how much cheating there is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
He is aware of light. Okay. Yeah. Obviously. We all know that he is aware of light. And the light on the nose is coming up under the nose, which is why the bridge of the nose there is dark.
Yeah.
But her forehead is
Yeah.
mostly light, and this would technically be the wrong way round, this shadow here.
Yeah.
But because he needs it to go against these lines and to pop her face out, he's cheated. And do you know what? It doesn't matter.
No.
Because what's happened is you've got this whole this incredible feeling of power, of energy rising up over her face, and her apparition coming to these guys who are, again, wonderful acting. A bit over the top from Johnny there, but it always is. But you know, just the start and the shock. It's just like, oh my god, what's that?
Good lord!
Good lord, great Scott!
I think it reminds me of Batman in the mid '60s with what Johnny's saying there. It's Agatha Harkness contacting us by the power of witchcraft. You have to explain what's going on all the time.
I love it.
You can't just say, shit, what's this? You know.
Great Scott, Batman. It's Agatha Harkness.
No,
golly, gosh.
Well, what a way to keep the reader informed.
Oh yeah, of course.
Just in case you don't realize this, folks.
It's just great.
Contacting them through the power of witchcraft.
And that was what the charm of it was.
Yeah.
It was like, and that's why it was all ages. Because although obviously that's a little bit over explaining for, say, I don't know, an adult that might be reading it that has an idea of the canon of the story or what have you, at the same time, it's still not talking down to the people that are reading it. They're not talking down to the readers. They're letting the reader sort of run through it at their own ease, at their own pace. I just love this stuff.
This was pretty natural to Stan as well. Because he, as a kid, he was listening to a lot of radio dramas. And that's how they got their point across. That would be something that you would hear on a radio drama.
And I think you've got to exactly
without the visual.
Exactly that point. You have to take it into account of when this was being written and the kind of media that was available.
Yeah, and I've said before that the words of the scenery, the words tell you what the names are and all that kind of stuff. And that's why why we look at the art so much, because it's just that tells you what's going on too. But the rest of it is just scenery, really. Like Ben doesn't have to shout, "It's clobbering time," does he?
No,
but he does. You know,
but you want to see it. It's like it's like watching It's like we used to watch back in the day in the 90s Harry Hill show. You won't know this guy, Randy, but he used to effectively have a show where he did the same 20 jokes every week.
Yeah.
Okay. And the same 20 jokes, but with a slightly different twist or a slightly different punchline. But it was effectively the same jokes. And you tuned in because you wanted to see those jokes.
Yeah.
You absolutely wanted to laugh at the same thing every week. And it's that there's something comforting about it. And there's something encouraging. And what it does is it brings you in and it makes you part of his little circle, because even though there's millions of people watching it. I think that's what Stan Lee used to do.
Yeah. Benny Hill used to do it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Benny Hill used to do it. Yeah, but like good old cancelled Benny Hill. But every time you saw it was like flame on. It's clobbering time. For Asgard, Avengers Assemble, whatever it might be, you felt, they've said it. They've bloody said it. I mean, that's what you waited for in Civil War on the MCU, on the when they said Avengers Assemble, it's like, oh God, I said it. You felt like a little child, and they said it doesn't matter that the MCU is not the Marvel universe that I know. It doesn't matter that it's not accurate to the comics. It's a presentation of it, and damn it, I saw them all barneying each other, and Ant-Man grew big, and there was Avengers Assembled. It's like I was a little child again.
Truly,
and that's all that matters.
We call those geek boy moments.
It was a geek moment, and it was the same for me with Lord of the Rings. I watched the first Lord of the Rings, and my wife said she sat there watching me during the film because my mouth was agape, and it was like I was a little child again. And that's because the director did such a damn good job of taking all the description from Tolkien's first two books into that first film, and made what I had in my head alive. And that shows just how good the writing was by Tolkien. That not only I saw it that way, but somebody completely different with a completely different life, in another country, showed it to me back through film in the way that I'd imagined it. I mean, that's a testament to how good the writing is. And much like that with comics, you've got It's Clobbering Time, Avengers Assemble. These things bring you in, and it's clever writing. As much as there's a lot of hammy stuff in this writing, in the 60s and 70s, at the same time, it just brings you in, and it makes you feel part of the family. It was totally entertaining.
Yeah.
And there were beats that kept on coming back again and again and again, no matter what the story. And then on top of that, Stan's approach to letters pages and the way that he approached the fans and the fan base, making everybody feel like they were in on the joke or in on the editorial. It was genius, absolute genius.
Well, he had his own tagline with Excelsior too.
Excelsior.
Like,
Excelsior.
Before you turn that page, and I see you doing it, the page on the left is a master class in comics right there. That's all you need. Study that page. You learn so much. The page on the right, look at how those sound effects move.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. Breaking the panel border, larger than life. And you can feel that thwack shake.
Well, sorry, but Zom.
Zom.
That's great. I love that. And look at the way that bottom right-hand panel, the way he's standing over Ben. That's just And notice there's almost a 9-panel grid there. He did start playing with more panels.
Do you remember that Kirby Captain America when he fights Batroc on that 9-panel one? Remember that? And at the end, it's like the camera's a bit higher than John Buscema's there, and you can see Jack towering above Batroc, who's on the floor, like he's stalking him, just waiting for him to get up again to knock him down. It's beautiful.
Yeah, StreamYard just threw me out of the room.
Hold on a sec. I'll be back in a sec. Somebody's knocking the door.
Thwack must have been a key word for the algorithm or something.
Yeah.
Look at that Black Bolt stance right there. Just amazing.
He's not too good looking, the guy on the left, is he?
No, I don't think he's meant to be good looking.
No, look at him. Why? Look at that Ben there, the despair on his face on the left-hand panel.
And he's back in the room. Yeah. That bottom right-hand panel, this one, it's another panel that's this one and this one stick in my memory. It's amazing how certain panels, they just jump out at you. It's like a smell or a listening to a record, and it just takes you back to your childhood. And certain panels do that. They come out and you go, oh, God, I remember seeing that panel and how impactful that panel was.
Yeah.
And this, just look at this.
I know. We're just saying it. Very handsome guy, isn't he?
Yeah. And again, I keep talking about this, but the economy of line involved in this and how strong it is.
Look at that simple design on his costume as well, on his shoulder. Just not this guy, just simple circles and squares.
Nothing over the top.
No.
Oh, Annihilus.
Look
at that. Look at this. This is beautiful. Again, how many lines on there?
Right.
And you can tell his hair flops when he walks, can't you?
Yeah, his hair's floppy. He's beautiful, isn't he? He's absolutely gorgeous. And and his lips upturns. He's a little bit sad, and there's a little tear in his eye, and then around the sockets of the eye, just like that very, very faint, little too
small line work in order to show that they're puffy. He's crying there.
Fantastic. Yep. With so little done on the page.
So true.
And that Annihilus, that's just rare. It's great. Bit of Kirby crackle.
Heartbroken Johnny right there. Yeah. Look at that crackle. Johnny.
That's it. And what's his name? Not the Flash. What was his name? Quicksilver. Can't have been much of a lover.
No. That's part of Johnny's heartbreak.
It's like what? Still,
she left me for him. Oh,
jeez. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Right, look at right. Okay, Namor.
Look at that.
Namor. Look at that female figure. Right?
Just beauty.
You can feel the weight. Just amazing.
I'm pretty sure that John Buscema also informed my appreciation of women as well. Because as a boy, there was John Buscema's beautiful dark-haired. Most of them, it has to be said, dark-haired women.
Yeah.
And then I think my first couple of crushes were Linda Carter as Wonder Woman,
Oh.
and then who was I've forgotten her name, Slater on Doctor Who. With
yes, she
absolutely,
died. Didn't she?
I absolutely loved her, and she was
Sarah
still
Jane?
beautiful. Yeah,
Sarah Jane.
and
Sarah Jane.
and effectively that's what my wife looks like.
Look at the
dark haired, curvy. You know, just
look at just don't go up the page. The previous page there, Throck, bottom left hand corner.
Throck.
Look at that,
Yeah,
bang!
crash.
But look at that vertical
Yeah.
in there,
That
and the
really,
fact that
really
everything's
hurts,
Punch.
doesn't it?
That's a
around it.
punch.
Yeah, and that's a bang. Look, that's a proper Yakuzuki. That is like
Yeah.
reverse punch. Whack.
You had to pull way back for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no! Look, you can see from there. Literally, all he's done is turn on his hips, and that's where all the power is generated from in a
Bang.
reverse punch.
Yeah.
In a karate reverse punch. Very, very. That's excellent.
And
Beautiful.
even the reaction, the open hands, and
Yeah.
Namor there, just you don't even get to see his face. Just
Like,
all you got to do is see his hands.
He just punched me in the
Oh.
throat.
Yeah.
Again, this looks like pencil
Yeah.
on the camera, but it isn't. It's very fine lined ink.
Is that fine line ink or is that white
It is.
zipatone? That's line
No,
work. Yeah.
it's ink.
Yeah, that's
It's ink.
line work.
It's just all he's done is he's done no variation of line.
Yeah.
So much like we were talking about earlier with variations on that particular thing, used a very fine point and gone right. Okay. Into
You
the
used to be
background.
able to buy white lined zipatone instead of the black dots. You can get
Yeah.
white
Oh,
dots
yeah,
or white
yeah,
line
yeah.
in order to make that same drop back
Yeah.
effect.
No,
Yeah.
he's just done it all with a pen, presumably a quill.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
look at that.
zipatone in this. It's great.
Jan Adkins
That's
makes an
ridiculous,
appearance.
Yeah.
Now, who thought to put a copy of the Daily Bugle for one? Look at that Easter egg
Yeah.
newspaper in the trash,
Yeah.
and of course the credits are on the trash can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops
Yeah.
out. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a page like that where we put there was a guy walking through a cemetery, and the credits were on the tombstone, which is a bit of a, obviously it's been done a lot of times, but it is fun when you can put those kind of things in.
but talk about show and tell. That's everything you need to know to get the story started right there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's after the battle, newspapers in the trash, somebody's writing in their journal,
Yeah.
and the credits are on the trash.
It's a done deal. Now let's get
Yep.
on. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's where we're starting. Yeah,
Oh, this.
it's beautiful.
Oh,
Oh, there. That's canon. That's classic right there too, though.
So Sinnott. There
That's
you
just
go.
an amazing page.
And you can see there's not quite as much. I mean, we're talking about economy of line, but there is some sparsity of detail on this. I have a feeling that this was maybe done at speed, and they needed to get this done. But look at that face.
Well, they were always done at speed.
if you
Yeah,
look
but-
at
I think
Well,
maybe a little bit
22
more on
pages
this
in a
one.
month. Yeah.
if you look at the title page there, right, and so to die. Look at the lines that Sinnott's done there for the,
Yeah.
but they don't go. He hasn't gone through the lettering and whited it out, has he?
No.
He's
No, that
just
lettering's
stopped
been
at the
put on
lettering.
over the top.
Do you reckon?
Let's have a look.
I doubt it. I
Oh
doubt it.
no, that was drawn on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
but it's fantastic the way he's done that.
Yeah.
You might you might go through the letter to get the line right and then white it out, but he's not.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do.
You can still, if you look really close enough at it, you can still see thin to thick to thin around
Yeah,
the,
I mean,
around
if
the
you
A
actually-
and the and up there.
you
If
actually
you pull
look
that
there-
up closer to the camera.
Yeah. So he's gone thinner here.
He's pulling
and
up,
then
yeah.
carried on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
luckily, there's a thick outline around the lettering, so he's
Yeah.
got a little bit of play to lift that brush on.
But it,
Maybe
Wow.
he added that himself.
yeah, he probably put it on afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but nobody will notice.
Oh,
might have done that too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that.
it's absolutely fantastic. So you got January sorry, this is Joe Sinnott as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's why I was saying I think he had more time for this than he had for that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's where it comes over to me. This just looks a little bit more.
Unless maybe Joe Sinnott had more time because John Buscema's pencils.
That's what I'm saying. I think Joe Sinnott had more time to ink
right.
this
Okay.
than
Yeah.
he did to ink.
Yeah. Got you.
this.
Got you. Yeah.
Okay.
And Sinnott was a true artist on his own.
Oh
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
yeah, he was an amazing artist. But
That
just-
page could have been looser than the other one.
And
You
look,
just had to go through and finish it.
yeah, it could be that one, maybe John was under pressure and one was looser than the other, and so
Right.
But these buildings, I love these buildings because they don't actually look like real buildings at all.
But they're buildings. You can tell
they're buildings.
Yeah.
And I actually did this in my first book of Only Death Can Save Us. I kind of put these kind of buildings in because I wanted to give it that kind of feel.
All of New York looks like that, though.
Yeah.
Do you know, you'd never get that hammer in that belt, would you?
No, I mean, what's that all about? But
so he could go hands free.
Yeah.
It's an elastic belt. It's a magic belt. He's a magical person.
There's no color on this to help him out because, as far as I was aware, was this originally printed? Do you think in color or in black and white?
Color, I would say.
Oh yeah, it'd be color.
Yeah.
Well, look at the date. What's the date on the indicia?
Wasn't that the Impossible Man in the middle tier down there?
No, that's isn't that Loki in a different?
Is that Loki?
Loki in a different costume.
Okay.
There'd be in color.
Got 75.
Yeah, so there'd be color. Yeah.
So
Well, he's glowing at that part. At that point, anyway, right? So that might have all been monotone color. If
I would imagine it was probably just one color on that panel because that's obviously they're fading away. Either they're apparitions or they're transporting somewhere or something like that.
Yeah.
And just looking, what I was about to say is, without color, you can tell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just tell it, and it's not just that they've not put in any shading or anything. You can tell.
And look at that lovely rain he's done as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah,
and the lightning bolts a beautiful touch.
But again, something that I constantly get inspired from all of this is the sort of intentional randomness of certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, you look at this stuff and think it is perfect. And what happened to me was I thought all this stuff was perfect. And so when I actually came to try and be in the business, I was looking for perfect.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. You don't look for perfect.
Yeah.
You look for what works. You look for what feels right. And it's taken me a good 10 years, to look at my work more objectively as I do it and go, right, no, pull back from that, Russ. Just blob that ink on. Just chuck that in there because it's about the energy.
Right.
And what you get from these, the energy that you get from these pages, and you look at them as if like I hold them up in perfection, but actually you go in and look and you can see where lines are a different weight or they're off on the wrong direction or where, and it doesn't matter because there's so much energy
I go by the saying that if it looks right, it probably is right.
Yeah.
But also something you said there about the energy. You think of and this is the part of the key to the success. All these pencilers like Buscema and Ditko and Kirby have all this energy and it's so beautiful. And then the inker comes along. Now, as we all know, a bad inker can mess as good stuff.
Yeah.
But these guys don't.
Yeah.
And they don't hide the penciler.
No.
You can tell. You can tell it's Giacoya on Kirby and Sinnott on Kirby, but you can tell it's always Kirby.
Yeah.
They don't lose anything, and that's the genius of these people.
Yeah, definitely. And just, I mean, I think most obvious that to me the way that an inker and multiple pencilers can work together is that run on Fantastic Four with Sinnott and all those different artists, and Reed Richards' face always looked the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But even though Reed Richards' face always looked the same because Sinnott drew it in a certain way and keep that consistency, you could still see the pencilers underneath.
Yeah. But that was the power of Sinnott as an inker too, and an artist. So just the real big thing I don't think we can stress enough is that these guys were all working on hard deadlines.
Yeah.
I mean, they were producing an incredibly amount of talented work in an incredibly short period of time.
Yeah, this is kind of essence of Gene Colan for me.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I can see that.
You know, like just the flow, and something else I have got on order, which I'll put up next week, is the Essentials #1 Tomb of Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
Cost me a pretty penny.
Really? Did it? Do you want to?
Because it's not in publication anymore, obviously, and there were very few.
You had to have gotten that off of eBay.
Yeah, well, I got it off Amazon, but it was a private
Amazon?
seller. Yeah.
Oh
private.
yeah. Okay. Did you pay like $100 or so?
Oh
for
God,
it,
no, not that
Okay.
much, but still,
Yeah.
it wasn't that far
Considerable.
away.
But I can tell you because I own that volume that when you get it,
right.
it's if you paid, I don't know, you paid under $100, you still got
Yeah.
a deal. It's
Oh,
25.
yeah.
It's 25 issues of Gene Colan and Tom Palmer. You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. No, because what I
just
did is I
can't.
got the Epic Collection
It's just
Volume
amazing.
4, which is like recolored by Marvel.
Yeah.
But I wanted the black and whites.
Absolutely.
And I was looking through, and the Essentials is like, it's a really thick book because all of them are thick, but this one's particularly thick. It's like,
Yeah,
all right, I'm buying that.
I can see them getting to a point where a private publisher is going to end up doing with the early Marvel and key books and from Marvel the same thing that they did with all them EC volumes. And kick them off in hardcover in slipcases, because that's the kind of stuff you want to put on your shelf.
Yeah, that's the
look
next
at like this. Yeah.
That's the next purchase for me. I want to the Hal, who you were doing yesterday, Hal
Foster.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Hal Foster stuff. I want to get some reprints of that, but also some EC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking through to find EC reprints because it fascinates me the way.
And again, you look for those Cockrum, the Russ Cockrum hardbound slipcase reprints. Jason Moore just ran across a set of those at a show in Akron and bought the 3 main horror titles and all of the science fiction titles: Weird Science, Weird Fantasy, Weird Science Fantasy, Tales from the Crypt, Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror. Picked them all up for $1,000. The entire runs of those books. He had to send me a picture. Look at what I got.
Yeah,
I've been looking for these ever since you got yours.
I feel ashamed to say that I would have paid that as well.
Well, actual collector's price on that right now is pretty close to $6,000 for that run. $6,000.
I don't know that I'd pay that.
And he paid $1,000 for it. Just amazing.
This is beautiful. Look at this old gentleman. What a lovely man. Look at him.
Not just that, but look at the angle.
Yeah, the angle of it. Yeah, it's
fantastic,
isn't it? Yeah,
professional.
I
mean, it's like we said before. He's made. What could be more boring than the postman delivering a letter?
And yet, look at that panel.
And look at it. It's the best. It's the best panel on the
page.
Pages.
Now, where is this from? Is this out of one of the romance comics?
This is one of the romance comics.
Yeah, look at how exciting that is. Just crazy.
He popped himself in the. He used to pop himself in the background of some of these group shots, didn't he? I've seen them.
Is that John?
I don't think it's John on
Romita
here,
there. Or not. That's John Buscema here, right?
Yeah, Buscema. I know that he chucked himself in some background shots. But look at her face, so simple.
It almost looks like John Romita.
Right.
That face
now we've come. Now we've come to something very special. Very special.
Look at how he's petting that page.
This is John inking himself at his. I would think at his zenith. This is just
look at them action lines on that bottom panel. Just phenomenal.
Fantastic. Crazy. And again, do you know what? They're not as good as the Sinnott lines, and I don't think John gives a stuff.
They're a little tighter.
They're just like, I don't care. I'm just putting these lines down.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And look at that. I mean, I would use a curve on that.
Yeah.
But damn it, he's just done that freehand.
I'm sure he has. Yeah.
He's just gone. There you go. That'll do. But
well, again, also at that point, deadline. There's a circle template moon up there in the upper panel.
Yeah.
Just, let me get a repitograph. There we are. Done.
Unfortunately, this is the only page of that graphic novel that they have in this book, which is a real pity. Okay, because I've got the graphic novel, got the original print of it up there, and it's just wonderful. It's a lesson in comic book storytelling. So there's John.
Rustolian says you might want to laminate that page before you give it a little more
love. There you go. Well, I've taken a photo of it. There you go.
There you go.
So there you go. That's
well. What we should do now is go through it again.
I thought you guys had books to show. I've already taken.
Well, we've got plenty of time. We can come back to those. But look,
there's time for other shows too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start flicking through it because I sort of missed quite a few chunks. So here we go. We'll start there. Oops, bit of light from outside. I've got outside here.
Yeah, I know.
Hold on. I'll I'll shut the curtains.
I had to go through and redo my setup here, and I've got light reflection going on what I hopefully will eventually show you.
There you go.
So,
all right.
That's a classic pose. That page you're holding, the center panel where the guy's sitting down.
Oh, this one.
That's a classic pose.
I think that's in here, the Loki version.
How many times has he drawn Mephisto in that exact same stance?
That's the one I was
Leaned
thinking.
back and
Look at that top left. Just go back top left. That line from his left hand all the way through to the top of the hammer.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. And I always point this out. The way the cloak makes the circle and brings it back into the center again.
I have an issue with movement lines. I think, am I making it over the top? The fact that it's a white line through the middle of a solid, and these guys don't care.
Yeah,
that's the movement. Put it in. So and that's the kind of things that inspire me to.
That's all part of the drama.
Improve my own art.
Look at that blast from the
the
pulsar ray from the palm there on the upper.
Yeah, that's a real sort of Gene Colan look, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
There is a lot of Gene Colan in this. Definitely, I think the Avengers had a little bit more of that to it.
Did Gene Colan ever draw the Avengers?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah? Oh.
But see, you're at a point here where things are being done. Everybody's getting free copies of everybody else's work, and like what you were saying, someone would take an hour or a day out and take a look at what everybody else was doing. All of these guys were working synergy, almost like the Beatles. They were working off of one another all the time.
There's a fold out here, so I don't know how I'm going to show this. So I'll just quickly. There you go. There's a whole
41
fold out. There. So it's obviously that's oversized.
Yeah.
So this is oversized.
I don't know. That might be the actual size.
I don't think if you look at the way it's written now, I don't know. I think this is oversized.
I couldn't tell you.
It tells you at the bottom, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know.
I know. Is that the size it's going to be? 6x10.
Yeah, size it's going to be.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, maybe it was blown up so they could do the lettering on it.
Well, that might be a clue. If somebody's written on the size it's going to be, it may have been oversized.
Yeah,
because they're not written the size on the other pages.
Mm-hmm. No, maybe just this one because they look with the right size.
So I take that and blow it up if that's not actual size there. They might have made that big and just shot it down. Yeah.
Look at that one.
I can't really get it all in, but here you go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And those lines do look actual size. I have to say, they do look actual size.
There was a time, wasn't there, when the artwork was almost twice as big as the
people used to work on A2. Yeah,
and that might have been this might have been a transition time.
Yeah, maybe.
Look at that.
Or at least on the covers. That's why you had all that detail. Yeah. So the rest of the interiors might be actual size as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. You would almost have to have a ruler in order to get a scale on that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, those lines do look actual size. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was actual size. There was a period there they decided to do the covers 2 or 2.5 up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, I would consider that, but it would take you a long time. I mean, you'd be putting a lot more time into your artwork because literally, just physically, it's more area to cover.
That's why you got paid more to do covers, right?
Well, maybe that's where it came from. Yeah. But I mean, if you look at this all looks like the actual size.
Mm-hmm.
What's the date on that one, Russ?
This would be
68.
70.
70.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jim Mooney.
Look at this. It's just beautiful. It's just look at the way. Look at that.
Yeah.
Guys and girls, anatomy, figure drawing.
Yeah, that's straight up Ming the Merciless from Alex
Isn't
Raymond right there.
Yeah.
Right there. That's Ming.
And you know
the
what?
stance, the relaxing arm on the machine, just the look in the face, that's Ming.
Ain't no circle template on that.
No.
Yeah. Probably didn't have time to do that.
Again, no circle template.
Let's put a circle on it.
Look how
look at how much he looks like Ming though in black and white. It's amazing.
Amazing stuff. Wonderful.
Tiger shark. Yeah.
Look at that top left on the previous page of him swimming. Look at that. How good is that?
That's just shockingly good.
To be able to see the body in 3 dimensions.
You can see, you can feel the water as it,
Yeah.
flows through it.
Yeah, you
It's
can.
just amazing stuff.
Yep.
The whack.
So wow.
That's in the Submariner Essential.
Yeah.
Look at that as a dodgy one. That one on the previous page.
Which one?
The second panel. Previous page, second panel. That's a dodgy shot, isn't it?
The toss shot. Yeah. Not just that. You could tell he was probably a hard on deadline. The bottom right corner there. Let's show him hitting. Who is that? A Tuma? Well, just draw a fist. Boom. There we go. Problem
through the
handled.
mouth. It's great. And her
Or
hair.
tiger shark's mouth. Yeah. Just boom. Look at the teeth flying there. But he's got it all back. Next panel.
Is that Orca?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that face right there. Yeah. Just amazing line work on that.
Yeah, I just love this. Love the way he curves the faces.
Yeah.
I do spend a lot of time examining, because obviously I examine real faces, real people.
Now, are we still Jim Mooney still inking this?
I think so. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a job for Mooney.
I obviously examine real people. Okay, real anatomy, photographs, people, whatever. But also the way that somebody like John simplifies the aspect of the real face.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, he did this so often that it got to be second nature. I doubt he even thought about the way that he did any of this. He just laid it down on the page.
It's like you said, Russ, about the economy of line, but he's still the most handsome man you've ever seen.
Yes.
And there's only 3 lines on his face.
Yeah. How does he do that? Yeah, in fact, the more the lines, the less handsome he is.
That's right.
Well, yeah, that's general. That's definitely a Mooney ink face right there.
And then we get Vince Coletta coming in to try.
We saw some of this.
Scratchy, scratch.
Oh, look at that.
That's an awesome. That's the old witch right there from EC.
Look at that. The way that this.
Wonderful.
I'm just so.
And it looks like Vinny took a little extra time on that witch's face too. He must have liked it,
but he still can't draw space. Look.
No. Rawr, this is great.
Space never looked like that. That's a real Kirby monster, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite blocky, big eyes.
If you think about it, that Vinny Coletta is perfect to ink that, because it's like he's used to doing that kind of thing in Thor with Kirby.
It amazes me they took the time. It's definitely a testament to Buscema's work. And because my opinion of Vinny is very low. So.
There we go.
Russ, just go back 2 pages.
What a beautiful cover there, Black Knight.
That page there, left hand page, top panel. Look at that black hole thing that is coming out.
Yeah.
How good is that?
Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean, we're only just getting photographs like that, but from the James Webb. This is 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Look how simple the line work is on it, and how effective it is.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
All about
Vinny inking again. That's probably the best thing I've ever seen him ink.
All about white space there. That was all about the white space, not about the black.
It's knowing what to ink and when.
Oh, I remember that vision when I was a kid. That cover.
Oh no, floating heads.
Yeah, I love the floating heads. Yeah, the vision cover.
Just
West Coast. Is that West Coast Avengers? They reused that on.
That's been reused a number of times. There have been a number of cover homages.
I love floating heads.
Isn't that amazing? Just look at that.
There's some more floating heads here. There you go. Floating heads.
Floating heads.
Brilliant. Look at that panther drawing. Look at that.
Yeah. And the ice on here.
Oh,
yeah, it only took them a couple of issues to drop the cowl look on Black Panther.
Yeah.
They went back to it when he joined the Avengers, and everybody complained. So it's like, I just fill it all in again.
Yeah, what the hell?
It was such a better costume.
Raw, you're all higher than me.
Yeah, I'm a tall guy, and I'm reaching up.
Beautiful.
So gorgeous, isn't she?
Just that whole layout on the cover, the tilt on it, Quicksilver coming at you, Goliath reaching out, everybody else trying to catch up to him. Just amazing stuff. Just beautiful. Can't go wrong.
We've been here. Oh, I've got another fold out. There you go. They've got some covers here that weren't.
Go back. Look at that. Where's that romance cover? Take a look at that.
they've got see.
Classic, right there. They use those and both of those covers. They use those images over and over again. Yeah, exactly.
This is just superb.
Yeah. Don't need anything more than that. Enough
But
said. That's why
these covers are not oversized.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
these are definitely the pretty close to
this is
actual size.
This is probably around the time I was losing it, because look at that. All New Thrills as Reed Richards is replaced by Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I
just imagine it. No.
I've got that Marvel feature.
Look at the outlines.
Yep.
Yeah.
How gorgeous that page is just.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. That's really thick too.
The brushwork in here. Here we go. Got some more.
Look at that. My Love cover. I've never seen that before.
That's
how you sell a comic right there.
Yeah.
That's every woman, isn't it, that he draws that face?
Every woman, yeah.
Just
this one's blonde.
Yeah.
That's a cover for Marvel Triple Action, the old reprints. That's the cover for Silver Surfer 1 right there.
Yeah.
I've got the essentials for
image.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And I've also got the IDW artisan version of Silver Surfer as well. Just beautiful.
Now he's nearly got space right there to give him credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot better there, isn't it? But because of the Kirby crackle.
Yeah. Look at that.
But what more do you need? You know, all of that focus is right there on the Surfer. Same thing with Tiger Shark there. Just great cover.
Look at his back.
It's beautiful.
Look at the muscles on his back.
Yep.
Where's all this artwork now? Who's got it?
I don't know. I don't know.
People's collections somewhere.
These lines are again very graphic.
Yeah.
Very graphic. And this beautiful stuff.
Just gorgeous.
Face.
Look at that. There's a lot to be said for the old Marvel layout where they used to put things in frames like that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Just
look at all the paste over on that.
Yeah.
What a panel.
That's got a lot of white out on it.
Oh, there's a classic coming. There's a classic coming.
Okay.
Hold on. There you go. So we got this one.
Oh.
Just look at that. It's great. And then that turned into Submariner.
That's the one. Yeah.
And
that's
then this one, which is one of my favorite pieces of art. It's that whole.
There's that guy sitting down again.
There he is.
Look at that.
There he is. Just.
Mind you, those women don't look as beautiful as normal, do they?
No, they don't. Perhaps they're having a hard day.
That could be a poster at twice the size.
Couldn't it? Yeah.
That was back when they were doing their black light posters too.
And if you look at some of the ink work in here, you can almost see Jim Lee.
It's Bernie Wrightson to me. Look.
You can. That's what I'm saying. It's like that. You can see like the lineage of how the inking changed over what John was doing there, and how that would have informed someone like Jim Lee.
That's a Weird Worlds cover. I don't ever remember seeing that before.
Who's inked that? Do we know? Does it tell you?
That's John. Oh, who does that line work?
Nebris.
Rudy
Nebris.
Yeah.
Nebris. Yeah, it's Nebris.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's really Bernie Wrightson, though, isn't it? That thin line.
Yeah, it is, and it isn't. It's like it's not as woodcut as Bernie Wrightson.
Yeah.
When you attribute like regions for different artistic styles, such as to me, that screams Filipino.
Yeah.
Right there. There was a whole period where he brought in who's it, Ernie Chua and Desugnan Alcala all come in all at the same time inking like that. Just beautiful work.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got.
Yeah, I don't ever remember seeing that cover before, but that's definitely for Weird World. I recognize the characters.
When you see Alcala on Buscema's Conan, you realize that Alcala would never use one line when he could use 100.
Yeah.
But it's superb.
Yeah.
Look at those hands on that bottom left-hand corner there.
Yeah. All of them different.
And that guy, and Wanda.
Very much so.
The chain.
Yeah. Very nice.
Very nice.
Oh, look at this. Look at this panel. You had the gods. That's Homer. That's Homer all in there. It's just
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a Greek tragedy, isn't it? That lovely picture of Hawkeye there.
Yeah.
Oh, Luke using some.
Some tone there, yeah.
There's a little bit of zip right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It just looks. It's quite flat.
That's Zipatone. That's
Very
an overlay.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a number of different textures that you could get in Zipatone during that
Right.
period. You can get some really grungy, dirty looking ones too. Yeah.
That's a page.
Yep.
Just beautiful, and just how simple, which is which is what I was saying about that page that I'd shown you earlier. Just making that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I didn't look at this page before I did this or anything. It's just that this kind of stuff is informing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you can just that simplicity there. Just
Not just that, but look at the panel next to it where he's dropping in.
Yeah.
The rope in front, just beautifully done.
absolutely.
What a
gorgeous.
curve. And it curves right down, right
yeah.
to Black Panther
The
again, who
extent
pops
of
up
his-
to that great shot of
his
the Avenger.
body. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful composition there.
Look at that hand in front of Iron Man's face as well.
Which
Who
one?
do that?
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry,
I'm trying to draw the
left-hand
body. I'm
page.
just going to do vertical lines. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Ah,
Who needs
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And there's Vision there in the bottom left or bottom right there, relaxing again in a Mephisto pose.
He's got his Don't know quite what
great.
happened to his forearm, but never mind.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that.
Okay, it doesn't matter. That's
No.
exactly. It doesn't
matter.
matter.
Look at how Thor's hand breaks the border, and that the page before that, and then the upper panel,
Yeah.
just beautifully done. Points you right down compositionally.
But it's not overly done. When
No.
they break borders where it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily work because it's pointing to another panel. Sometimes it just works. It just looks great.
His thumb was pointed. His thumb was guiding you anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Lovely this face.
Yeah.
Again, he's in profile almost, but
Yeah.
not quite.
Yeah.
And that's the point. It's like whenever you see these, whenever you see a page and it's got a hard profile where it literally is just half a face, it always looks unnatural.
Yeah.
I've done it myself, and I've gone back to it and gone, no, that just doesn't look right. It just doesn't. There's always got to be some slight. It's very rare that you could actually see that.
A straight profile.
Straight profile in the real world. And I know this isn't the real world, but what you're trying to do is fool the eye. You're bringing in the reader, and when you do kooky stuff that breaks that bond between the reader and the story, then you're doing it wrong.
Look
Well,
at
it's the
that.
opposite of that. Look at that look of
face.
astonishment on
Yeah.
that face there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful, isn't it?
But
How the shadows just make that eye pop.
there's
just
not
makes it
one
scream out.
repeat
No.
of anything in
Nope.
any panel. Every panel has a different camera depth, a different camera angle.
Even the close up of the hand on
Everything.
on the right hand side
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's laying on the ground. You see that big hand right there out of
And
Just
again,
phenomenal.
look at that page where there are no like this one here and this one here are about as close as you get. And even then, they're not. It's just 18-6 XYZ. It was blocked. Nice.
I caught it.
Look on that left-hand page there where the guy's slugging Thor. He's sideways. They're all sideways, lying on the side.
It's like, you know that guy you were saying that, oh yeah, I decide on the panel before I decide on what I'm putting. That's almost like you said, I'm going to put this panel in here. Oh, bugger.
I've not enough room.
Guys, we are an hour and a half in.
Yeah, I've done plenty. You should be showing your stuff.
We could, I don't even have a chance to show my book now. Woohoo.
Well, we'll do it
all
next
been
week.
looking at
I'll
Russ's
tell you
book
what.
here.
What we can do is you
we'll
can
have
do
to.
another 2 weeks of books, can't you?
Why not? Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
People love it. People
And Russ, you're
love
going to
this
have
stuff.
to come back next week because I borrowed a book just for you.
Oh right, yeah. I'll be here. Yeah. No problem.
Here.
I got nowhere else to be.
This thing is gargantuan, by the way. I mean, it is huge. But let me show you the book I got.
Look at that guy. That guy's standing.
Oh wow. Yeah.
This is my old drawing board, by the way.
Oh,
this book
God.
is big, big, big,
Look
big.
at that. That's gorgeous.
But anyway, we'll have to cover that next week.
Well, you can spend a whole, hour and a half looking at
just
that
like
one,
we
to
did
be
with
honest.
this book. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look at that guy's pose there. That is he a Skrull? Look at that pose.
Yeah.
Look how wide his legs are.
Yeah.
There's no requirement for that whatsoever.
That is the stance of authority.
Yeah.
And even we were talking about profiles. That's about as close to a profile as I've seen in this whole book. Okay.
Yep.
And still you can see the fact that emotionally he's starting to turn. There's something about the way he's holding himself. Just incredible. Super scroll.
Yeah.
What a fun.
It's another zip screen usage there in space back in the back. See Al Williamson used to do that a lot.
Fleet.
So we're back to these great pages. Yeah.
This reminds me a little bit of Kevin O'Neill.
Yeah.
Bless him.
Wow.
Right. Okay. So that's there
just
you go.
beautiful. Look at
That's just amazing.
There it is. That's just an amazing intro.
Yeah. You could look at that cover for 4 days, couldn't you?
Couldn't you?
Yeah, you could.
I keep looking at at the
tension,
the
the
line
emotion
work.
there is amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Just that line work is just gorgeous. So
I remember reading that story for the first time and the effect that it had on you at the end. That's that's just as they inducted Vision into the Avengers.
Yeah.
They had that big classic line. It doesn't your situation doesn't matter. What matters is your heroics.
So there you go. We get do a Steranko week next week then.
Yeah.
I have to. Yep.
Definitely.
Because I'm looking forward to seeing that because I reckon you've got more in that.
This is beautiful.
Because I got an IDW artisan Steranko, and I reckon there's more in your book than there is in mine.
Well, considering what we've just done the past hour and a half, I think we should keep it to one book if we can, rather than go through 5 or 6. Because I mean, we could go through that one again and again. It's just
well, you see, I missed a few bits out that I had to try and find on the way back through. But I mean, if we say let's do an hour and a half on Steranko next week and just walk through that book and do it page by page, because it's not like all you're doing is looking at the page. We're examining it. We're talking about it. We're talking about the art, which is what this program's about, which is what this podcast's about. It's about the nuts and bolts. You couldn't get much better than the nuts and bolts in these books.
No, not at all. He is disconnecting his camera here. Give me just a second. Whoa.
Dave, I didn't actually pick my wife because she looked like a superhero. It's because all the superheroes look like her.
There you go. Yep. Ain't that the story right there? I picked my wife because she was a superhero.
I picked my wife because she's still a superhero.
There you go. There's no doubt about that.
Look at Bristolian Day there. Just do a super extended show. I still got to work for another 6 hours.
Yeah, well, you see, I've got work to do. That's the whole point.
We all have work to do, but that's why we love doing this first thing in the morning. So get to work the rest of the day.
Let me just show you again what my superhero wife did. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. That's
how
blow
good
that
is
up,
that?
Randy. Can you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right
look
there.
at that.
Look at that.
I'm in awe of 3 types of people: people who can sculpt, people who can play music, and people who can grow a full head of hair.
Isn't that wonderful?
I feel if we were meant to have it, we'd have had it. So
that's
the way I feel about it. Yep.
Fabulous.
When it comes to hair, you just get a hat.
But sculptors I find incredible, and musicians as well. Just in awe of their abilities.
The only I say a lot to people, and I'm not saying I'm any good at anything, but I would swap the level of what I have to be able to sing.
Sing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I wouldn't.
I would.
Have you heard me sing? Yes. No, I don't. I think I love.
Both of you guys are coming over. We're all going to get together in karaoke.
I love I think I love it so much. I love that ability. That I know what you mean, though, because I like the idea of being able to play a musical instrument.
Yeah.
Really, really.
It's taken me 50 years not to be able to play the guitar.
Yeah. I've got 2 back there, and I still can't play them.
Yeah.
I look at them occasionally and go.
I know the chords, but I can't put them together.
Yeah.
I sit here and watch videos of David Gilmour playing, and it's like it looks so easy.
Yeah. Well,
I had a guy who used to.
Sit there,
I had a guy I used to work with who used to session with Aztec Camera, and we'd go because we started business together. He just happened to work together. And I was around his house quite a lot, and he'd get his guitar out every now and then. And the thing is he'd cheat. It's literally like we're talking about these artists.
Yeah.
They don't do everything like you should.
Yeah.
And his hands were all over the place over this guitar. And he'd say, "Oh, that's not really the way you're supposed to do it." But it just sounded incredible.
Well, the best guitarists are self-taught.
Exactly.
They're the ones that have looked at that instrument and have figured out how to use it.
And some people are just naturals, aren't they?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that fantastic film on the Secret Policeman's Ball of Pete Townsend singing "Won't Get Fooled Again" on his acoustic guitar? Find that. And he sings it because he wrote the song, and he's one of these natural players. And the guy who is he called Williams? The guy who plays classical guitar on the Deer Hunter.
John Williams.
Well, he's sitting next to him. You've got Pete Townsend with his acoustic guitar banging out that song. It's better than the one on the record. And he's singing and playing up all these harmonics on his guitar, and John Williams tries to join in with his guitar doing the classical finger picking, and he just stops after about 3 bars because he can't keep up with it, and he's classically trained. John Williams knows how to play a guitar.
Yeah.
Pete Townsend just plays it. Doesn't matter whether it's the right way. He just does it. Check it out. Secret Policeman's Ball. It's from about 30 years ago. It's brilliant.
But yeah,
it's like Roy Clark said, if it had strings, I was going to play it. I don't care if I had to. I would learn it. There we are.
I think that it does come down to what you're saying. I know some people don't like this approach, but some people are born with certain not talent. Skill sets. It's not skill. It's a particular approach. There's something within them that makes them more driven towards a certain thing to do with their life. And it wouldn't matter whether it's a footballer or a basketball player or a musician, a sculptor, an artist. There's something within you that and it's not to say that not everybody has art in them. I think everybody does to a degree.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But and some of this may be nurture and nature. Okay, it's the two together. Yeah. All right, because I'm sure there are millions of artists out there who never nurtured into doing what they want to do, and so don't do it. But still, there are just some people, and I think people like we've discussed this morning, including the musicians we spoke about. There's just something about them.
Well, you see, I think there's. I've said it before. I think there's this thing called raw talent. If you look at something like Jimi Hendrix, so he's dead when he was 27. So he didn't have that much time to practice. No. There's another piece of film you should try and find, and I think it's about 1966. Jimi Hendrix had just come over from America, and he's with Keith Richard. Now he's pretty good, isn't he? Keith Richard, he's pretty good, right? And he's playing. Keith Richard's right-handed, and as you know, Jimi Hendrix is left-handed.
Yeah.
And Jimi Hendrix is talking to Keith Richard about some song, but he hasn't got his guitar, but Keith has his. So Jimmy turns it left-handed, so it's all upside down, and plays it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's upside. He's playing it upside down.
Yeah. And it's like, oh man. And Keith Richards just looking at him like, what the hell is this?
How are you doing that?
But again, he's somebody who knows the tool to the point where, turning it over is nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's like singing and playing a musical instrument at the same time, or drumming. But some of these people, they're just able. I think Dave has a pretty good point. He's got a pretty good point. Some people have natural talents. Yeah. Hard work trumps talent if talent doesn't work hard.
That's true. That's very true.
Very insightful.
Yeah. You have to. There's a lot to be said to have hand agility and the hand-eye coordination to work, just like any artist on any tool.
But I think
handling a certain amount is the same as handling a scalpel. It's like running a guitar. Yeah.
But I think there's a certain amount of internal drive. So as much as I respect and admire musicians and I'd like to do it, I don't have the drive.
Yeah.
And the drive is not there. Maybe if the drive was there, maybe I could get over it and I could be a good musician. My drive is to draw specifically draw comics, nothing else.
Well, that's the way I feel, because I figure that 50 years on, if I was meant to be a guitarist, I probably would be doing it by now.
Yeah, exactly.
At least to some level, instead of just knowing 10 chords but not being able to get a song out of it. You know what I mean?
Mumbling along to Top of the Pops under my breath.
And I'm playing this guitar and I'm thinking, why don't I just put this down and pick up a pencil, you know, and just, I can do that.
I can get a better tune out of a pencil than I can out of a guitar.
Oh, dear.
Folks, I want to thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of Comics by Night. This has been Comics by Night for the 18th of November, 2022. We'll do this again next week. Next Friday morning, we'll be here at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or it's at 10 mid-morning, where you're at avocado time, as Russ would say. Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me at russleach.com. You can find all my connections to my social medias there, although Instagram and my email list would be most appropriate. You can find out about my book, Only Death Can Save Us. The second book is on the way. It will be available in March. That's a hard deadline now. And it's almost finished. And you can get the first original version of it with that book if you want over on Indiegogo. If you want the edited version by New Haven, okay, you can pick that up at Amazon, and it'll be available from the 30th of November, just in time for Christmas. And you can also find me in the pages of Batman magazine for in UK and Europe. It's Hero Time Presents Batman, or Hero Time Presents Spidey and His Amazing Friends, which I'm not on. I'm just on the Batman bit. And you can pick that up in UK, Brazil, Germany, France, and Italy, I think. Okay, so you can pick that up there, and there's a new issue out on the bookshelves right now. You can find out all about that at russleach.com.
Just in case you're getting on a plane to Brazil this afternoon, you can pick up your comic when
you can pick up a copy in Brazil. There you go.
And you also said that your next death is out in March, but you didn't say which year.
Yeah, I'll put it at March 2023. It will definitely. It's only a year late. That's not bad, is it? But it will be there. It's one of those. Unfortunately, life has turned some odd tables on me this year and last year, but it will be out because I'm pretty much complete on the inks. So it'll all be done. I've got to print it by March anyway because it's got to be in this tax year. So it will be out then, and it will start going out for delivery in March, and then I'll be on to book 3, which will follow, but that one will be out from New Haven only, I would imagine.
Right. Okay.
All right. Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
Usual social media things, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those kind of things. But if you want to contact me, go to comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com. If you want to purchase my book about Kirby, you need to get that from me. That's just for me at the moment. I'm working on another outlet. But yeah, and on these podcasts with Randy and Russ, Fridays and Sundays usually, and other places. Got my own podcast on Thursday with Ted Davis on Ted Davis Artistry, Comics Unlimited podcast. And that's at I think that's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, 3 o'clock here. And all my work is on Amazon. I've also got a YouTube channel. Just put my name in, you'll find it and all that, and you can see what I'm up to.
Great. Folks, I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me next on Sunday morning with perhaps Glenn, maybe Russ as well, doing Sunday Funnies, where we talk just like this about the comics that we love more than the art. We talk about the comics that have inspired us and that help us do the work that we do. That's Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also on the Indie Comics Network. Indie Comics Network now has indiecomicsnetwork.com. So you can go over there and watch all of our videos there archived, unedited. And so that none of the bits that YouTube has been complaining about, or all of the bits that YouTube's been complaining about are thrown into that. And we've run into, every time we try to do this, there's a glitch that pops in here and there now with the system. But that's why we started indiecomicsnetwork.com. in the hopes that we can just archive everything over there safely. But we still have the Indie Comics Network channel over on YouTube. So if you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us over on indiecomicsnetwork.com, please go over to the YouTube page and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. We have a wide spectrum of programming over there that we would love to show you. We'll have a bump as we go out that shows most of the programs that we have available. Bristolian in the chat, thank you so much for being there. Marv was in there too. We didn't use much of the chat this time, but that's because we were showing off some great stuff, and we'll do that again next week. We'll get around to that Steranko book and maybe a few other books besides. So tune in for that in Comics by Night, Friday morning, 5 a.m. Here on the Indie Comics Network. Deeply appreciate you all. If you want to see some of my stuff's out there. It's out there. Yeah, you can contact me through Facebook. If you look through all of the main social platforms for Arrow Comics, there's stuff there. And look for that in the upcoming year. We've got a lot of stuff planned. We're hoping that 2023 is going to be a much better. We'll have a lot more stuff to show you than what we have this year. There's a lot of things coming in that we're very excited about. We can't talk about yet until we know for sure that they're in the can and ready to go. So, and other than that, folks, deeply appreciate you being here. Thanks again for listening. And we're going to go out with a few bumps that we probably should have started with, as well as the opening. And
see ya.
We'll see everybody soon. Take care, everyone.
The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
What was that? This is not a charade. We need total concentration. Now, once again, this time, with the...
Bye, Jack.
We really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we, Wayne?
No horseshit, Jack.
No horseshit.
You pay it!